Well, this video is long overdue. Hello, everybody. This is my review of Callie. I made this mock a little earlier this year. This character has been through quite a bit of changes. The original kind of design feature I wanted to add to this character originally was a skirt design, because I bought this Lego flower set with some petal pieces, and I wanted to try and experiment with those, see what I can do with it. And it didn't turn out as well as I thought it would, and it was kind of more of a pain to put together, and it was just kind of a mess overall. So I decided against it and went with a regular design without the skirt, and it turned out to be a lot better result in my opinion. But it was just kind of an experiment, and I kind of wanted to see what I could do with it, and a little bit more difficult than I pictured it would be. But anywho, this is the final result, and I'm pretty happy with it. Like, it's a little different than I originally imagined this character to look. If you saw the post I put on the community, the head was way different. It had more of a visor kind of head, and it had a little bit more pink, and it had like this little there's a lot more white and just different colors. And I toned it down just to basically 3 colors: the gray, the black, and the purple. And I think that turned out way better, leagues better. And the head design, it took me a few tries to kind of get the result I wanted, and I feel like I'm pretty happy with this design. And there's a few pictures where this piece is silver. I tried to figure out if I wanted to have that silver or black, if it looked better. I think it kind of looks better with this, but just let me know what you guys think. But anyway, on to the review. So first, you start off with the feet. Not a great fit design. I'm not really too proud of this. The original foot design was going to be way too tall. The character would have been, like, it would have looked way too tall. The proportions would have been way off. So I decided to shorten them. I used some of these Nexonite shield pieces. Yeah, it didn't really work too well. It's not the best design, and it just does not stand up. And of course, it decides to prove me wrong. But usually, it just does not stand very well. If you try and pose it, it just does not. It doesn't like to stand. So I might try and change that later on in the future. But for now, it's stuck with this design. But besides that, the leg design, the lower leg design, I'm pretty happy with, and it's pretty simple. Let me just take off this little piece here. You can kind of see, how that's built. It's pretty simple. You got a Technic T-piece in there that kind of goes all the way through. Holds the system on there. And you got this piece that holds everything together. And of course, you got this that holds the little armor bit. And kind of covers things up a little bit. Makes it look kind of nice. And then you got all these curved pieces for the, whoops, and there goes the torso. That is not the first time that's happened today. But you got all these curved pieces to kind of give it some interesting shaping. And one of the main things, even with the original design, I wanted to use purple, because I, at the time, didn't have any characters that had purple in the color scheme, and I just kind of wanted to see what I could do with it. So I decided to give this character some purple. I'm not too sure what I think about this shin design. it looks okay as long as it's like this. Like, that looks fine. Like, it kind of, like, goes up with the design a little bit, but as soon as you move it down, then it is kind of, doesn't look that great. But, yeah, mostly it just stays like that. So, and then you just bend it right here. And still doesn't look great, but, yeah, it's better than the alternative. But, and of course this was on, this attaches on the back there by friction. It also kind of gives it a little bit better shaping there. Kind of continues the shaping there. It kind of gives it more of an armor kind of look. They got all these little pieces here attached to it. Kind of give the, just kind of give it some more armor and detail. Okay, so let me see if I can put this back on. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, but that all collapses in and creates this cool little effect, and it's kind of cool little effect. I think it's pretty decent. I was originally gonna leave it like that, and then maybe put some like spikes there, but then I decided to put those, and I think that looks much better. Moving up, this part is pretty basic. I mean, it's literally just a CCBS with shield piece with one of these, but I think it looks pretty decent for what it is. Makes it cool. Little shin guard kind of thing there. Knee guard. And then the upper legs, yeah, they're pretty standard. Kind of look very sleek and very system heavy, obviously. More of these Nexonite shields there. These, I like using these pieces on MOCs like, whoops, like on MOCs like this, because it kind of has this little sloped piece, which is perfect for covering up some of the gaps and stuff, which it actually helps a lot right here. It kind of covers up the ball joint right there, so that's kind of nice little detail. Little minor thing, but still like using those. And then another thing that I did to help with that was I added some of these little, let me see if I can take it apart here, kind of show you. So I added these. They kind of move around and pivot. So you can kind of move them out of the way if you need to. And then of course they pivot right here. So they can kind of move out of the way. But it also kind of covers up this gap, because otherwise it would look just like this, which, you know, you can kind of see it side by side. You can kind of tell. It definitely helps with the look. And then you just kind of got that piece over there. And these feet keep falling off, that's what you're hearing in the background. You just put this on there. Oops. There we go. And that attaches like that, and it creates this really nice shape there. And then you got this hip armor here, which that kind of, it doesn't really cover this up much, but oops, this piece fell out. There we go. Okay, but it doesn't cover it up too much, but it does kind of help a little bit. And then back here, there's not really a whole lot of coverage back here, unfortunately, because I couldn't repeat this design, because the way this is built, if I take this apart, you can kind of see, yeah, there wouldn't have been enough room to fit this design on either side. Otherwise, I would have. And I probably still could, really, but I think this works out alright. It's not too bad. And then on the back, I just kind of made this little piece. It's literally just the same thing on both sides. And it kind of creates this really interesting shape. Yeah, I think it works pretty good. And of course, that's where the torso attaches, which I'll get that in a minute. Just reattach the feet. Like I said, they're not the best feet, so I'll have to come up with a little bit better design for that. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty decent design, I think. Alright, so moving on up to the upper torso here. Let's see if we can keep this intact. This thing likes to fall in half because it's not the strongest thing ever, because it's a system. So there's that. But anyway, so here's the torso. As you can see, I added some more purple. This torso was actually a torso for Larissa, one of the other MOCs on my channel. And I basically used the same template, I guess, or, the exact same torso, actually. And just upgraded it and added a lot more detail to it to make it look a little bit more suitable for this character. And I think it worked pretty well. I think I blended it in with the rest of it pretty well. And there's actually still kind of a, if I move this out of the way, there's still kind of a little bit of a remnant of that piece was, I think, flipped around, if I remember right. And that kind of created the look there. But of course now the front is taken up by all this, so. But, move the hand out of the way. There we go. But yeah, you can kind of see, more or less, let me just take this little piece off here. You can kind of see how that's built. It's literally just one of these clips right there that hold that in. And it just taps in right there. Whoops. And, okay, there it goes. It has begun. Oh, boy. Okay. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, I got it. So anyway. But then, of course, up here, we got the Nexo Knight armor piece, which is also been put in the new Marvel mech sets, which I got a few of these, actually, from the Black Panther set. And they actually make for pretty decent torsos, I think. And the way this is all built, I think it actually creates a really nice shape. It's not too crazy. It's pretty mild, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Obviously, you can kind of see in the light there, there's quite a bit of gaps there, but, you know, from the front and from the sides, like, you look at it from this angle, it's not too bad. Just from certain angles, it doesn't look all that great. But, anyway. But, moving on to the back here, which, there we go. Okay, I was gonna, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a lot of these sloped pieces that kind of create a really cool look, a stylish kind of look, kind of almost like a spinal kind of thing, a spinal column kind of look, almost like medieval armor kind of look, and I really like how that turned out. I think it looks really nice. They got this like little purple bit right here, and that thing almost looks like a scarf. It's kind of one intentional design, but it kind of works out pretty well. And these feet just keep falling off. It's great. But anyway, moving on. So the way the head is attached here, of course, there's a mixel joint. It's literally just attached to the top of that, and then, you know, the ball joint actually takes up the space of that. So not really a whole lot of room to mess around with. Couldn't really do much about the back here. I couldn't really cover that up or make it a little bit more of a gradual slope there, otherwise I would have. But otherwise, I think it looks alright. But anyway, moving on to the arms. The shoulders, they're pretty basic. It's just one of these T pieces right here. And a bunch of system just kind of thrown on there. You can kind of see how that's made. I could have probably made this a little bit simpler, but, you know, I wanted to make it look fancy, so I made it look kind of interesting and different. And, anyway. The actual bare bone, whoops, and there goes the midsection again. Okay, there we go. Nope, nope. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the shoulder again, so you can kind of see the the bare bones of this thing. Basically, it's attached with just this little Technic piece. I don't want to. I don't want to take this thing apart anymore. It's gonna fall in little pieces. Uh, but it's just attached with metal joints on either side for the arm and then to the torso. And you got a lot of motion there. I mean, obviously with the shoulder, it's kind of limited a little bit, but not too much. It's still got a lot of range of motion. And the nice thing about it is this little piece actually stays in place where while this is in motion. So that's actually kind of nice in a way. But it does get in the way, of course, because of the way it's designed. So you can't really move it out that much. Now you can move it. Whoop. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna take the lower torso off here. But you can move the arm a little bit. If you just kind of rotate this a little bit, you can kind of get a little bit more range of motion. Not a whole lot, but it's a little bit more for more expressive poses. Of course, the elbow can only go 90 degrees, just the way it's designed. The arms, the forearms are very, very basic. Just a bunch of system and mixel put together. And you can kind of more or less see how that's put together. And I think it turned out alright. And focus. Camera is just not. Oop, there we go. But yeah, it's pretty simple, but I think it looks alright. And then you have the hand design. Now, the hands, I use these little pieces right here, which is from the Batman buildable figure that they just released not too long back. Or I guess it was a little while ago now, but anyway, these little fingers I like a lot better than some of the ones that were put out during the later Bionicle years. The more claw-like hands. These actually look more like fingers, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. You can get a lot of expressive poses with it, and it makes pretty dang cool looking fists. But of course, you got only the 3 fingers attached with just one of these little things right there. Focus. Okay, it's not going. Okay, well, I tried. But yeah, it's pretty simple the way it's put together. And then you, of course, got this little tooth piece for the thumb, and that works out pretty well with this design as well because it looks pretty. It fits in pretty well, and yeah, I think it turned out pretty nicely. And then you got this little armor bit right there, just kind of keep everything nice and smooth, and that works out pretty well with the look. Alright, and then last but not least, the head design. So the head design went through a few stages. If you looked at the post on the community, it changed quite a bit from that design. The original design, it was more of a visor kind of shape, and now it's more just a traditional face, and I just think it looks kind of nice. I didn't mind the visor face that much. I actually wanted to go with that design throughout even this version, but it just didn't look as good, and so I decided to go with this. And the way it's done is this is literally just held on just by that one little stud right there, and yeah, that's how that's put together, more or less. And I don't know if I can take more of this apart if you can see. And you can kind of see a little bit more. That's how all this whole thing is attached on there. And yeah. So this whole thing is just a lot of those little extra pieces like that kind of create this curved look. I think it turned out alright. The back is kind of just very bland, and just put some dark gray pieces just kind of fit in with that. One funny thing is if you fold these in, if I could just, there we go, fold those in, and they got this little face. So there's that. It was kind of silly, but yeah, you got that option. But yeah, that goes on there, and then it goes along with the little kind of mohawk hairstyle I got going on here. It wasn't really intentional, but it just kind of turned out that way, and I think it turned out all right. It's not perfect. It's pretty basic, and it's not the greatest design. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun just to have a little mohawk ponytail combination here, and I think it looks kind of interesting. And it's a robotic character, so you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this head design turned out. I personally think it's a little bit better than the visor, but yeah, it just kind of gives it more personality. So, kind of the story of this character was, it was basically originally going to be this, she was going to be this weaponsmith, and for myself, MOC, and the crew that I was going to kind of put together, which I'll get to that in a later video, of the whole status of the stories and whatnot. but anyway, but besides all that, the this character was going to be basically kind of the weaponsmith, and the it's kind of the armor smith, and she was going to be just kind of this cool little warrior that meets up with myself, MOC. There was going to be this whole scene that I kind of had in my head, that it was going to be this kind of tavern bar kind of scene, and she was going to be just sitting there, you know, and then Keldor comes in with freaking bad guys flying through the freaking doorway, and there's a big old bar fight in there and everything, and she was going to be kind of an apprentice to him, long story short, and weaponsmith, and kind of learn the way he fights. And so they kind of teamed up a little bit, and they were gonna kind of go along doing their thing as a little team. If you look at the community, there's a new character I posted, and that'll hopefully be the main topic of that story when it's done, which will be hopefully by the end of this week. I'll have those parts in, and I will be able to complete the MOC officially. But anyway, that is the character. But hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one.